I just realized I was muted for all that. Dude, horrible. Wow. Oh, look, this is how things go. Um, Geez, Louise, that's so unfortunate that just happened. Yeah, we looked at the market. Bitcoin's up, the rest of the market down. That's interesting. YouTube channel, 463. I did the math while I was talking there, which nobody heard. Um, I'm gonna have to do something to up this number on a weekly basis. I think there's like something like 32 weeks remaining. I think that's a really rough estimation. 32 weeks. If I think last time when I started this template of check-in, it was last week. So if I'm getting 100 views every week, that's obviously not enough growth, which is fine. I'm not, you know, terribly concerned with that just yet. Right now, I am really just refining this thing and hopefully it gets to a place that I start growing. I think one of the things I'll have to do for that is actually start making clips, like better clips. Um, and creating static videos, which again I'll get into down low. But this little rant here for you guys is like, yo, fail fast. You know, Andreessen Horowitz and Mark Andreessen Anderson Horowitz has this thought of like, or had his Twitter bio for a long time. Strong views loosely held, and I think about this system. I think about computers, you know, inputs and outputs, and how I view success and how I want to try to manifest my success is just being consistent, right? And that's part of the title of this dream sort of series is daily vitamins, you know, just showing up every single day with that mentality of I just want to get a little bit better and I just don't want to stop moving. You know, slow motion is better than no motion. uh I think it's one of the laws of thermodynamics, which is, you know, an object in motion stays in motion. So just trying to be consistent. This is a normal distribution right here, right? And I think a lot of systems are just normally distributed. I think that there's like some theorem that actually suggests every system is, if it falls into these categories. And so, you know, independently every day, I want to show up and try to do the best that I can with what I've got, and understand systems. You know, a computer or any system is you have inputs, i.e., your current state, and you have a desired state. You have a particular set of outcomes or outputs that you want. And so you have to understand the system in terms of where the right inputs need to be put. And you have to understand the inputs and like how do you have better inputs. And this isn't some like self-chastising, you know, self-help productivity hack. It's just like do what you can with what you got. Experiment, you know, see the outputs that you're getting, think about it. There's a feedback loop. It's going to give you information. This data carries information. It tells you if you're on the right track or the wrong path. So just, you know, have a hypothesis, try to have an explanation of something, test that explanation. And if it isn't what you think it is, um, you know, take that information and adjust your inputs. I wish I was recording. That I really expanded on this idea, but an object in motion stays in motion. You can't cry over spilt milk. So let's keep going here. Yeah, I have this prompt engineering book. If you've been looking at the streams, you've seen it a few times. Haven't really peeled into it, but I'm gonna put it in notebookLM today or at some point and try to peel through that. So maybe a better title for this is notebookLM, because I think one thing. No, let's keep it the way it was. Let's. I got a ton of thoughts here today, guys. I want to try to peel through them, see what we can get to in terms of start hacking on. I talked about consistency a little bit. Again, it was muted, unfortunately. But yeah, going back to this is like, yeah, just showing up every day, being consistent with your effort, and controlling what you can control. I think it's just really valuable. You know, 10,000 reps, 10,000 hours. Uh, just keep learning, keep growing, and again, have hypothesis and test them. Yeah, so with respect to Clay, that's probably the biggest thing on my list and probably what I'll work on the most today, but we'll see. I have a meeting tomorrow with a Noom from Clay. Just kind of a check-in. I'm applying for this job with them. Been working on this Clay table, as you've seen over the streams, and just trying to get some more product knowledge, and hopefully build something interesting and cool for them so that they can, see that and see that I have, some skills that might be valuable on the team. So I will need to set aside some time today to kind of prep for that meeting. Probably, want to ask about the interview process. Ideally, we had really good rapport last time we spoke, and I like Anum, and I definitely want to explore the opportunity. So hopefully, fingers crossed, Anum will be able to give me a reference or I don't know what it would, like a referral, I suppose, to get an interview. Um, yeah. In terms of channel plans, let's just read this out loud and see if we can clean up these notes a little bit. So, small wins first, building to larger things. I'll list them off here, but I guess some small wins would be perhaps a more scheduled stream. It's definitely something that I'm thinking about. Like, can I be more consistent with the times that I'm getting on? And maybe have like not a schedule per se, because again, the freedom is something I really value, but should I have a little reflection at the beginning of each one where similar to this failing fast feedback loop input output thing that I just went through? Is that valuable? I think so. It helps me learn, helps me sort of throw a soliloquy out and see what kind of comes to mind and refine my thoughts as I go through that process. I think building a timestamping tool and finding some sort of transcription tool would be super useful, particularly if I don't stick to the schedule and I kind of keep it free flowing. Like, I'd like people visiting the stream to be able to understand, like, hey, at this point he did this. That's actually what's valuable to me, and being able to find that. Yeah, something of that nature I think would be super useful. Right now, I'm really approaching this YouTube channel as an archive and maybe like a journal, just trying to show up every day, the daily vitamin sort of consistency that I was referring to earlier. But in terms of the growth, I think I need, a few things. So let's actually list them out here. How to grow the channel. Okay, so consistency, obviously most important. I think clips for virality, I think is super important. Transcription, timestamp, maybe a better bio, stream summaries, stream description, better titles, streamlined thumbnail workflow. Right now, my thumbnail workflow is just a mess because I'm playing with an LLM and that's normally distributed as well. So you don't really get super consistent outputs. You can massage it for sure, but yeah, sharing music elements. Obviously, I love music. I think it'd be great to make playlists. I don't know if a YouTube playlist would be the best. Obviously, I use Obsidian, so maybe I host an Obsidian. Just pay the monthly fee to host it. Monthly fee to host Obsidian. Obviously, like links and me browsing the web is a big part of what I do here, and I do want to share those things. So I'm keeping these largely. I just don't know if I want to go through the process of creating my own sort of platform to do that. I think Obsidian gives me like a neat and easy way to do it. And it's not free, but it's not super expensive. But yeah, monthly fee to host. Yeah, in terms of timestamps, I want people to be able to, like I said, get a good sense of what I'm doing. So I know if I went into Gemini, because I tried this, if we actually click on this, I tried this already, and it does give some description. What would the workflow look like if I went to YouTube right now? Let's find a previous stream, videos, live, Canadian debates. Let's go into here and let's Let's grab this transcript. I'll be interested to see. Oh man, I messed that up, eh? Is this coming through here? I don't. Let's copy that. Let's go into Gemini. Here is let's use this Super Whisper. I like this tool a lot. Here is a transcript from a live stream that I did. I want you to do a few things with it. So one, I would like, a summary. Two, I would like a good description of it. Three, I would like a title. And four, I'd like you to, maybe not even four, but if we get into the summary, I really want it detailed in terms of like, associated times and the different things that are talking or that are brought up, maybe recurring themes, larger and smaller buckets for what's talked about, etc. Oh, it didn't like that when I pasted that. All right, so it's thinking. Let's go back to this while that's going on. Yeah, in terms of, again, the virality and how to grow the channel, we only got 30 some weeks left. At my current pace, I won't hit that 10,000 goal within the year, and that's super important to me. So I'm definitely gonna have to figure out a way to make clips. I think that there's a tool that I could probably put together that, involves the transcriptions from YouTube that are there for free or making my own. Um, I don't know. We'll have to think about this. What's a good clip workflow? Um, and not only selecting the clips, but like what is a good copy for them? What are some stuff like that? But yeah, we're gonna try to get some clips going. I talked about this a little bit, but Obsidian to share links and writings. It's relatively free, so that's one thing. This kind of gets into the preamble, like how do I want to structure my intros? Obviously, I do a little bit of data collection, like I check the Bitcoin price and I check HUD 8. And yeah, I would just like to be able to collect that data in a neater way so that it's like, not a database necessarily, but just categorized properly so that maybe I can do some sort of data visualization thing. I like that stuff. It looks cool. It pleases me. So want to do something like that, I think. Maybe like a dashboard that sort of shows the YouTube growth. I think that'd be super interesting. And again, a part of the growth is I think I'll have to produce some planned videos. Let's see what this thing's saying here. So detailed summary, stream starts with background music playing, soul and R&B, streamer greets viewers, mentions the date, discusses ambivalence about results has but commits to working on the problem. Yeah, just like confusion, introduces and explains the concept. The purpose of a system is what it does, emphasizing that a system's true purpose is defined by actual outcomes, not its stated mission. Okay, this actually does a pretty good job of breaking down the timestamps. That's super valuable. If we go into here, let's share this. It says, I just experimented with using Google Gemini. I just copy and pasted the entire transcript from a stream, put it in there. I've attached the link above, but it does a pretty good job at the timestamps and describing, what's being talked about at what points in the video. So that's promising. Great. Major themes: Canadian federal politics, deep dive into current issues via debate, reaction, economy, social programs, foreign policy, environment, inflation, taxation, systems thinking, personal level, and commentary. Specific topics, smaller buckets, so debate analysis, leader performance, policy differences, key issues, housing affordability, concepts, price control, notwithstanding clause, carbon, stream elements, music intro, working with clay, mention, channel stats, AI interactions, breaks, George Hot shout out. This is a deep dive into Canadian federal politics. Watch a live reaction and detailed analysis of full leaders debate, affordability, purpose of the system, what does it apply to government. Fascinating. Titles, Canadian leaders debate, live reaction analysis, Bitcoin. Not really a deep dive, but okay. Impact in Canadian debate live. Okay, that's pretty cool. I don't love the description or the potential titles, but there's something there, so that's useful. Okay. So yeah, more detailed and sort of planned out videos that I think are like full stop. If we go to the YouTube channel here, da, 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 yeah, so right here, if you go to the home, if you go to videos, none of my live streams obviously show up here. And I think it'd be useful to have some kind of static videos similar to these that aren't just music. So yeah, that's what that kind of means. And I think I would need DaVinci Resolve. I looked into it on one of these streams ago. It's a free tool. That's the most appealing. I would like to get Adobe, but it's just so freaking expensive that I don't think it makes sense. Yeah, another thing I was talking about in terms of growth is like, can I use LLMs to describe and catalog my streams? So, hey, watch these videos, Gemini. This is one question I get asked an LLM, like, what do you think it would be like to work with Dylan? What are Dylan's strengths and weaknesses? I'd like to ask ChatGPT, GPT, Claude, these other tools, like, hey, what do you think of me? What are some of my strengths? What are some of my weaknesses? What am I interested in? I actually did this already this morning. Pretty interesting responses. So Grok, it's like, excuse me. Yeah, so Grok, its broad buckets are career and professional growth, tech and innovation, philosophy and economics, creative expressions, personal reflection and lifestyle, web design, UX, psychology and literature, podcasting and media. So within career and professional growth, you're focused on advancing your career, particularly in roles like sales and product support. You're strategic about job applications, seeking ways to stand out through networking and tailored interview responses. This is me kind of being like, hey, like, what are 20 questions that I could be asked in this job interview? Here's the job posting. That kind of thing. So I use it, yeah, part of my career and professional sort of development. Tech and innovation. As a developer, you enjoy building custom web apps and APIs, experimenting with tools like Clay for data enrichment, automation, and personalization. Projects like SEO dashboards and account-based marketing excite you, reflecting a knack for novel tech solutions and scalability. With respect to philosophy and economics, you've explored complex ideas like Ludwig von Mises' human actions, delving into epistemological challenges in economics, subjective theory of value, and praxeology. How do economic theories justify as science? Creative expressions. I have a poetic and artistic side, enjoying vivid imagery, storytelling, branding. Fables, fantasies, podcast naming, tying creativity to identify. Personal reflection and lifestyle. Web experiences. So yeah, building stuff. ChatGPT says tech automation, sales, prospecting, design and content, creative thinking, gaming and performance, DIY, home tech setup, cooking and vibes like cooking and gardening, stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know, pretty interesting. I think that there's something there in terms of how I can, yeah, describe what my stream is, or describe what my channel is, um, and how it reflects me and sort of the things that I'm into. Um, so yeah, interesting experiment. I think that there's more I could do there. As LLM to help describe and catalog my streams. Yeah, again, this is something we just tried, but I think that there's like a way that I could use these LLMs to be like, hey, I talk about a lot of things. What should my YouTube bio be? Help me get transcriptions in my, streams, or not transcriptions, but timestamps. Um, just again, I want to try to provide as much value. I am doing this. Obviously, I don't make money doing this. I'm just kind of doing it because it's what I'm interested in doing. And so I'm like, well, I might like this is what I do on a daily basis. So I might as well stream it. Um, but I do want to produce something that people enjoy. And so how can I do that without compromising myself? It's kind of like, hey, tell me the things that I seem to be doing, and then help me market to the people so that I can find people that are interested in this. Um, yeah, like I said, a lot of different things. This isn't super relevant. I was just thinking, like, what's the best chat application I could use? I know T3 is pretty cheap. One thing I do want to maybe look at is this Manus GitHub. I guess this stuff is leaked, and so what are the prompts that they're using for their agents, and how could I maybe use that for me, and my prompt engineering. So I'm actually going to put this at the top by the notebookLM. Let's do this. Make that smaller. Um, yeah, and FOSS, contributing to open source projects, I think is probably like a valuable thing to do. So, notebookLM, I want to try to put this Mr. Beast, how to succeed at Beast Productions in notebookLM, and see if there's like thoughts around that in terms of how I could like grow my thing. So I'll probably put that, yeah, back in this, like, how do I make this channel better? And I hope these things excite people. I hope they're like, okay, like he's trying to grow this thing, and nobody's really looking at this, so that's fine. I don't think it'll excite anybody today, but it's there. This is here, and I think maybe in a year's time when this channel is actually like taking off and doing something cool, it'll again archive kind of vibes. I think it'll be cool to be able to go back and be like, oh shit, that was just like those things marinating in. And it'll also be interesting to see how like it doesn't turn out this way, because I'm thinking about my inputs and I'm thinking about the output, the desired state. That output's going to change as I progress through this. So yeah, anyways, that'll be cool to see. Um, really have to use the washroom. I've had a ton of caffeine today. Um, and then I think it's time we get going. I think, yeah, I don't know. Let's see where we get to. Let's see where we get to first. I don't know. I'm gonna use the washroom though. This is 40 minutes in. All right. Get rid of that. What are we gonna do? I just threw on some hot water, so we're gonna let that boil. I'm gonna eat this salad. Let's see if there's any good videos. Let's do this. We're gonna go notebookLM. Create a new one. Let's input this Mr. Beast thing. We can get that off the list. Choose a file. Mr. Beast. How do I read it? Beast. Compilers, no, designing data-intensive applications, operating systems, data back, 320, which I think is machine learning, case studies, building effective dev portfolio, cool energy, crypto economics, discrete math, the road to serfdom, how to read a book, human action, intro to probability, intro to computation, linear regression, marketing analysis, recommender systems, REST API, room temperature superconductors. I don't know what that is. State machine, structure of scientific revolutions. These are all cool. I'm honestly, I'm going to post most of these in here. And then we'll make a new one as well. I'm surprised I can't find this Mr. Beast thing. Mr. Beast. There it is. Mr. Beast production guide. Copy. Go in here. Say Mr. Beast production guide. There it is. All right. Let's open up a new one. notebookLM. And what was the other one I was doing here? I was just looking at whatever was it. No, prompt engineering. Yes. What's this file called? Prompt engineering. Prompt. There it is. Okay, so let's add a few more things on documentation. Claude, prompt engineering overview. We'll add that into notebookLM as well. Although, let's listen to this little podcast that it generates on this while I eat. and get this thing just so it's not so boring for you guys. And yeah, we'll spend the first little bit thinking about prompt engineering, because that's an important part of what I'm trying to do with this clay table, and hopefully through this prompt engineering thing that'll kind of like guide me to fixing up the prompt or workshopping the prompt with V0. I also need to figure out, if we look at this, let's dive into this right now. Might as well. Let's refresh this page because it seems out of date. If I look at this, one of the issues I'm having is basically, as a part of this tool, I'm actually, oh no. You set that to the original value, yeah. Part of this tool call, I run this Amplify actor. It does this huge web scrape, and I'm trying to essentially take that, and I wouldn't say tokenize it, but I'm putting it into an LLM, being like, yo, try to condense this down so that you understand and can get like a pretty good idea of what the website looks like. And then from there, I want you to try to encapsulate as much as you can within this V0 prompt, just so that we can get as close to a finished sort of product from a one-shot prompt. And obviously it won't be that great, but yeah, again, just trying to give it as much information as possible. But one of the issues is that these API calls or Appify calls or API calls are so big that I can't actually return the results in here. It times out, which sucks. And so I end up having to import the whole thing into a data table here within Clay. But each of these records has details about them. And I'm not sure what's going to be the best way that I can go through and try to summarize all of these and pass them to ChatGPT. Because before, as one thing, that's not working. So I have to chunk it a little bit. It seems like I was having issues with my rate limits, but when I did a diagnosis, I'm not even using it really. So that can't be the issue. Might be like too big of a thing to send to ChatGPT. We'll see. We will see. But this is it's not that. This document serves as a comprehensive guide to prompt engineering for LLMs. It introduces fundamental concepts and explores various prompting techniques such as zero-shot, few-shot, and chain-of-thought prompting to elicit the desired outcomes. Again, this is guys, we're thinking about the inputs and the outputs. You know, what are the desired outcomes? How are the different ways I can, organize my inputs to get the desired outcomes? For prompting, there's zero-shot, few-shot, chain-of-thought prompting. I don't even know necessarily off the top of my head what those different things are, other than like zero shot and few shots seem pretty intuitive, but like chain of thought prompting, I'm not exactly sure. So we'll see. We'll find out. But the text also discusses advanced methods like self-consistency, tree of thought, and React, emphasizing how to leverage these LLMs for complex reasoning and task execution. Let's pull this mic closer. Furthermore, it covers practical applications of prompt engineering and code generation, debugging, and translation. The guide concludes with best practices for designing effective prompts, managing output configs, and documenting experimentation for continuous improvements with LLMs. So yeah, we're going to save that because it's a pretty good explanation. Let's, yeah, what are more notes that we can add? Oh, you can write your own. Cool. Delete that. I do want to generate the study guide. I do want to generate a briefing document, a timeline, and the FAQ. This is the study guide. Let's check that out first. Again, I'll try to do as much as I can without, trying to interrupt the flow too much. But while I'm here, so define prompt engineering and why it's considered an iterative process. Explain the purpose of temperature and LLM output configs and how different temperatures values affect the generated text. So I guess a question would be like, what is a temperature? Oh, it answers down here. Answer key. So why is it important to document various essay format questions, glossary terms? This is important. Okay, that's a pretty good study guide like that. That's cool. Must be the briefing document. What is zero shot? Zero shot prompt requires the LM to perform a task based solely on the description in the prompt without any prior examples. One shot includes a single example in the prompt guide. Few shot provides multiple examples. Okay. System prompting, contextual prompting, role prompting, chain of thought prompting. How does it improve reasoning? Okay. Self-consistency. What is this? Addresses the potential for chain of thought paths to be incorrect by generating multiple diverse reasoning paths for the same output, often when using a high temperature, and then selecting the most consistent answer among them through majority voting. This provides a pseudo probability of the answer. Improves accuracy, particularly for this. Okay. How do you use this though? How would you say use self-consistency? We'll find out. Concise guide, detailed timeline, the main events. Okay. Cool. Interesting. I wonder if I can put a YouTube video in this. What does that look like? Live. Let's put this one in here. Let's see what that does. I'm excited about this experiment we're about to try. Say that. Your config, URL management, exploring image integration and analysis. The user expresses interest in enhancing the website redesign process by incorporating more relevant stock imagery. Oh, those are pretty good, man. I feel like I could definitely use this as a part of my workflow. Let's mention this. So prompt engineering, how to make channel plus, sharing relevant timestamps, stream quality, obsidian, share my links, workflow, intro, data collection, more planned videos. Let's get rid of that. Put this here. Okay. Pretty cool. I just found out I can actually share my YouTube video link into notebookLM as well as Gemini. And within notebookLM, I can then actually look at, like a briefing document, timeline, that sort of thing. So I think that this could definitely be used to catalog and, summarize, give a description, etc. for each of these streams. So that's great. Excited about that. Example. Perfect. Let's listen to this actually real quick.
You know that feeling when you're trying to get your head around something complex and you just wish someone could, like, boil it down.
Yeah, just give you the essentials.
Exactly, like a shortcut to actually understanding it. And that's really what we're aiming for with this deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
You brought this really interesting source, a YouTube transcript, and our mission today is basically to dig out the key insights for you, our listener.
Yeah, leave you with a clear picture, maybe a new way of thinking about it.
So today we're diving into the work of Vitamin Dill. He's documenting his project, building a tool for super fast website redesigns.
Right. And given your interest, listener, in efficient knowledge gathering, this whole process he's going through using APIs, automation, starting with dentists, it feels pretty relevant.
Okay, so let's jump in. Right off the bat, Vitamin Dill talks about his clay table. Now sounds intriguing. It's not pottery, right?
No, no. It seems to be his, like, custom digital workspace. The control center for this whole operation, basically.
Gotcha. And he starts by using the Google Maps API. What's he grabbing there?
He's pulling in local businesses. The transcript mentions finding 39 dental practices in one area, though he said the initial list was bigger before filtering.
Okay, 39 dentists.
Yeah, and what's smart is he's not starting from scratch, right? He's leveraging data that's already out there.
Building on what exists makes sense.
Exactly. It's kind of a core principle for getting things done efficiently, you know?
Totally. And then he mentions enriching this data.
Yeah.
So it's not just the names and addresses.
Apparently not. He talks about gathering more info, more data points about these businesses.
For what purpose?
Well, the immediate goal he mentions is generating cold emails.
Ah, okay. So find dentists, learn more, send emails. A direct business application.
Precisely. You see the path from data gathering to, like, a real-world use case.
Okay, fascinating start. So businesses identified, data enriched. Then the focus shifts to actually redoing their websites. This is where V0 comes in.
Yeah, V0. From the context, it sounds like an API or a platform specifically for automated website redesign.
So you give it a website.
You feed it a URL, yeah, and it generates, like, a redesign preview.
And he's plugging this right into his clay table system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is cool because it shows how you can connect different specialized tools to build your own custom workflow.
Right. So he takes the website URLs he got earlier, probably from the Maps API in that enrichment step, and just feeds them into V0, almost like an automated design factory.
Kinda, yeah. And he mentions using templates within his clay table to streamline it even more, make it faster, more consistent.
Standardizing the input, okay?
Right. And he actually shows some examples, designs for places like Edgemont Team, Public Serene, Dental Medic.
Real practices.
Yeah, real practices. So you can actually see what the output looks like. It makes the potential very tangible.
And what did he think? Were these AI designs perfect straight away?
Well, not perfect, but he seemed pretty impressed initially. He said some were super well done, especially one where the AI handled photos well.
But some caveats.
Yeah, he also pointed out things like text needing work or some layouts being a bit too busy.
So automation gets you close, but you still need that human touch for the final polish.
Exactly. That nuance, the user experience bit. Automation is powerful, but maybe not the whole story yet.
He also brought up faster load times as a big plus for these redesigns. Why is that so important?
Oh, huge. Speed is everything online now.
Right.
Faster sites mean happier users, better Google rankings.
Better business, basically.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So if these V0 designs are inherently fast, that's a massive selling point. It shows how tech performance is becoming part of the design conversation itself.
Okay, compelling concept. But let's get into the weeds a bit. The tech side, he talks about running Puppeteer in headless mode. Can you break that down?
Sure. Puppeteer is basically a tool, a library for Node.js that lets you control a browser like Chrome with code.
Like a robot browser.
Sort of, yeah. And headless just means it does all this in the background. No actual browser window pops up on your screen.
Why do that?
Efficiency, mainly. It uses fewer resources, and it's essential for running automated tasks on a server without needing a graphical display.
Okay. But it wasn't totally smooth sailing, making it invisible. He hit linting errors.
Yeah. Linting errors are just your code checker saying, hey, something's not quite right here, or this doesn't follow the style rules.
So like grammar check for code.
Pretty much, yeah. In his case, it was how he set the headless option. He had to change it to just be true. A simple yes-no value, basically.
A small detail, but crucial.
Very common in development. Fixing those little things ensures the code is clean and runs reliably. Part of the process.
Got it. He also mentions using NPM runwatch and something called nrock. What are those about?
Okay, so NPM runwatch is super handy for developers. It automatically watches your code files, and whenever you save a change, it rebuilds and restarts your server. So you see the effects of your changes almost instantly. Speeds up development a lot.
Constant feedback loop.
Exactly. And nrock. That's a clever little tool. It creates a public web address, like a proper URL, that actually points directly to the development server running on its own computer.
Why would you need that?
For testing things like webhooks. If an external service, like maybe V0, needs to send information back to a server, it needs a public address to reach it. egrok provides that tunnel, even while he's still building locally.
Ah, makes sense. Allows external tools to talk to his local setup.
Precisely. Really useful for testing integrations.
And connecting all these pieces, Puppeteer, V0, the clay table. he built his own custom API.
Yes, that API is like the conductor of the orchestra.
Okay.
It takes the initial request, tells Puppeteer what to do, talks to V0, waits for the result, and then uses webhooks to push the final redesigned URL back into his clay table display.
So it manages the whole workflow.
Yeah, it's the glue holding all these different services together and automating the sequence. Shows the power of custom code for tying things together.
Right. Now, moving beyond just layout and structure images, he wanted to automatically add relevant images. That sounds ambitious.
It really is. He knew visuals are key, right?
Yeah.
His first thought was Unsplash, the stock photo site. They have an API.
Makes sense. Lots of free images there.
Yeah. But he mentioned there wasn't a direct, like, Clay Splash integration ready to go in his system.
So no easy button.
Nope.
Yep.
Another common thing in development, the integration you want doesn't always exist out of the box. You often have to build a bridge yourself.
So if he couldn't just plug into Unsplash easily, what was plan B for getting images? This sounds cool.
It is pretty inventive. His idea was to look at the images already on the original website
Okay.
and try to figure out their vibe. You know, are they photos of people, nature, abstract, what's the style?
Analyze the existing aesthetic.
Exactly.
Right.
And then use that analysis, maybe keywords extracted from the images, to search Unsplash programmatically for similar stock photos.
Wow. That's trying to teach the machine about visual style.
Yeah, it's a really interesting idea. Bridging that gap between, like, subjective feel and something an algorithm can work with.
So how did he plan to even get those original images for analysis?
First step, again, using Puppeteer. He set it up to basically scrape a website and pull out all the image URLs it could find.
Just grab the links to the pictures.
Right. He tested it, got a list of URLs from a site mentioned it wasn't perfect, maybe missed some, and even tried downloading them just to prove it could work.
Okay, so he can potentially get the images, or at least their URLs. But then the big question.
A multi-million-dollar question, yeah.
How do you feed that vibe or those specific images back into V0? How does the redesign tool use that information?
And that's where he kind of leaves it open. He explicitly calls it out as a big challenge. How do you host these new images? How do you tell V0 use images like these?
Yeah, that seems like a major hurdle. Passing that kind of nuanced, context-aware instruction to an automated design tool.
Exactly. It really highlights the difference between automating structure and automating, you know, the more aesthetic, content-driven parts of design. That's much harder.
Okay, so we followed Vitamin Dial's journey quite closely here, from grabbing dentist data to wrestling with headless browsers and image vibes. What are the main takeaways for our listener from this deep dive?
I think there are a few big ones. First, just the sheer speed of iteration. He's constantly trying things, hitting walls, figuring stuff out. It's very experimental.
Rapid prototyping in action.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Second, it's a great example of combining lots of different tools, APIs, automation libraries, custom platforms to achieve something specific and pretty complex.
The synergy of different technologies.
Yeah, that interconnectedness is key in modern development. And third, this isn't just theoretical.
Right, he's applying it to a real problem, making website redesign faster and potentially more affordable for businesses, starting with dentists, but you can see it branching out.
Exactly. And finally, it just really hammers home that software development is problem solving. It's learning, debugging, trying again.
It's not just typing code, it's thinking through challenges.
Constantly. The transcript is full of
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I like that. I like that a lot. I almost think I should make like a folder for these. Let's get rid of this. Delete that. Delete. Can you make folders? Doesn't look like it. Does not look like it. Oh, well, that's fine. Let's get into the prompt engineering one. This one I actually do want to listen to just to get like a sense of what's talked about in the book and how they talk about it, just to see what's relevant. So yeah, let's listen to this.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into prompt engineering.
I wish I could turn this up
simple. You
louder.
just type something into an LLM,
Right.
But getting really good results, that feels like, well, it's more complex. Part art, part science, maybe.
Absolutely. You can think of it as steering these really powerful prediction engines. An LLM's job, fundamentally, is predicting the next word, the next token, based on everything it's learned.
Okay.
So prompt engineering is how we skillfully nudge those predictions to get the output we actually want.
So it's not just getting any answer, but the right answer for your goal. And there's a lot you can do with it, like summarizing, finding info.
Oh yeah, tons. Text summarization, pulling out specific data points, question answering, translation, even generating code.
Wow.
And a well-crafted prompt is really the key to unlocking all that. But it's not just the words you use. It's also about picking the right model and, importantly, tweaking the settings. Things like temperature, top K, top P, they all play a big role.
Right, the configurations. Let's start there then. How do we control what the LLM actually, gives back?
Okay, so one basic thing is the output length, usually measured in tokens.
Tokens, right? Like words or parts of words.
Exactly. And more tokens generally means more processing time, maybe higher cost.
Makes sense.
But here's the catch. Just telling it use fewer tokens doesn't automatically make the answer more concise or, well, better. You often need to design the prompt to ask for conciseness.
Ah, okay. So you can't just shorten the leash. You have to train it to walk shorter.
Yeah, that's a decent analogy. And managing that length is actually super important for some advanced techniques, like React, which we might get into.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Now, these other controls you mentioned, temperature, top K, top P, they sound a bit technical. Is this about randomness?
That's exactly it. See, the LLM calculates probabilities for all the possible next tokens. Temperature controls how strictly it sticks to the highest probabilities.
So low temperature means
Lower temperature, closer to 0, makes it more deterministic. It'll almost always pick the single most likely next word. Think of it as sticking to the script.
Good for facts, maybe.
Precisely. When you need accuracy, consistency, higher temperatures, that injects more randomness.
So it gets more creative.
It can, yeah. More diverse outputs, sometimes unexpected, which can be great for brainstorming, but, it can also go off the rails a bit. Gemini's temperature setting, for instance, basically tweaks the math, the softmax function, to make it more or less likely to pick those less probable tokens.
Okay, low temp for facts, high temp for creativity. Makes sense. What about top K and top P then? More randomness controls.
Kind of similar goals, but different mechanisms. Top K just says only consider the K most likely next tokens. So if K is 10, it ignores everything else, even if the 11th most likely token was almost as probable. Top P, or nucleus sampling, is a bit more dynamic. It says consider the smallest group of top tokens whose probabilities add up to at least P. So if the top token is already very likely, maybe only that one token gets considered. If the probabilities are more spread out, it might consider more tokens.
Yeah. So they both limit the choices, just in different ways.
Exactly. And finding the best settings? Honestly, it often comes down to experimenting for your specific task.
Okay, now this is where my head starts spinning a bit. How do they all work together? If I set like temperature and top K and top P.
Yeah, good question. So if all three are active, the model first figures out which tokens meet both the top K and top P criteria.
Okay, narrows it down.
Right. Then from that smaller pool, the temperature setting influences the final random selection.
I see. And if I only set one or two?
Then only those filters apply.
Yeah.
If you just set top K, it filters by K, then temperature, if set, picks from that. If you don't set temperature at all, it usually just picks randomly, maybe weighted by...
Oh, I did not mean to do that. Shoot. Dang.
Welcome to the deep.
If you just set top K, it filters by K, then temperature, if set, picks from that. If you don't set temperature at all, it usually just picks randomly, maybe weighted by probability, from whatever tokens made it past the K and P filters.
And what if you push them to extremes? Like temperature 0?
Ah, right. Well, temperature 0 means it always picks the absolute most probable token. So in that case, top K and top P don't really do anything, do they?
True. The choice is already made.
Yeah. And conversely, a super high temperature makes the probabilities almost equal, so the choice becomes nearly random among the tokens allowed by top K or top P.
And top K of 1.
Same idea as temperature 0, basically. Forces the single most likely token. Top P of 0 would do that too. Very high K or P near 1 means it considers almost everything.
Good to know. It helps understand the boundaries. Do you have any general starting points? Where should someone begin experimenting?
Sure. For reasonably coherent results, but still a bit creative, maybe try temperature around 0.2, top P at 0.95, top K around 30.
Yep.
If you want more creativity, push the temperature up, maybe 0.9, top P maybe 0.99, top K 40.
And for less creative, more factual.
Lower temperature like 0.1, maybe top P 0.9, top K 20. And if there's really only one right answer, like solving a math problem, starting with temperature 0 is often the way to go.
So more freedom in the settings can mean, well, less relevant output sometimes.
Exactly. It's a trade-off. And one thing to watch out for, there's this weird bug called the repetition loop.
Oh, yeah.
Where the model just gets stuck repeating the same word or phrase over and over. And actually really low or really high temperature settings combined with certain K and P values can sometimes make that worse.
Huh. Why is that?
Well, too low makes it deterministic, maybe locking onto a loop. Too high increases randomness, which you'd think would help, but it can sometimes randomly loop back to a previous state and get stuck there too. So finding that balance is key.
Okay. That's a lot on just configuring the output. Super helpful, though. Now, let's dig into the prompts themselves, the actual words we use. Where's the simplest place to start?
The absolute simplest is what we call zero-shot prompting.
Zero-shot.
Yeah, it just means you give the model the task description, maybe some context or input text, but no examples of the kind of answer you want. You're just asking the question directly.
Like the movie review example we looked at. Classify this review.
Exactly that one. We used Gemini Pro, low temperature, but11, limited tokens to 5, just asked it to classify the review of her as positive, neutral, or negative.
And it just came back with positive.
Right. Simple task, direct instruction. And this is important. Documenting these attempts is crucial. Like in that table format, model used, settings, the exact prompt, the output, it helps track what works.
Definitely. Seems like you'd get lost quickly otherwise. So zero shot is the starting point. What if just asking isn't quite enough to get what you need?
That's when you move to providing examples. This leads us to one shot and few shot prompting.
One shot, few shot. Makes sense. One example.
Let's pause this. What do these sources say about LLM output config in a larger context? So the source emphasizes that LLM output config is a crucial component of prompt engineering, working in tandem with the prompt itself to guide LLMs towards producing accurate desired outputs. While prompt engineering focuses on designing high-quality input prompts, understanding and adjusting the LLM's output configs is equally important for achieving the desired results. So several aspects. So generation response, setting an appropriate token limit is important because generating more tokens increases computational costs, energy consumption, response time, and expenses. So reducing the length stops the LLM from generating further tokens once the limit is reached and doesn't inherently make the output more succinct. So that's important to know. Furthermore, for some prompting techniques like React, output length control is vital to prevent the model from emitting irrelevant tokens. Sampling controls, temperature, top K, top P. Let's output. Okay. General prompting, system prompting, step back prompting, chain of thought, self-consistency, tree of thoughts, code prompting, for debugging and reviewing, for multimodal prompting. What is this? So prompting for code still uses the same regular LLM model. Multimodal prompting is a separate concern. It refers to a technique where you use multiple input formats to guide a LLM instead of just relying on text. So this includes a combination of text, images, codes. So best practices. Yeah, let's get into best practices. Do I want to write this down? Probably want to put it in my actual notes, but I do like writing stuff and I think it's useful. So let's so prompting, best practices. So provide examples. The most important best practice is to provide one-shot, few-shot examples within a prompt. This is highly effective because acts as a powerful teaching tool. These examples showcase desired outputs or similar responses, allowing the model to learn from them and tailor its own generation accordingly. It gives the model a reference point or a target to aim for, improving the accuracy, style, and tone of its response to better match your expectations. Okay. It's like a mimetic. Next one, man, this pen. Okay. Design. Prompt should be concise, clear, and easy. Concise, clear. Okay, I do actually want to put this in. Let's make a new note. Create a new note. Prompt engineering. So best practices. Practices. So share examples. Design with simplicity. Concise, clear, and easy. So I.E, when writing a prompt, write out the prompt, then open a new LLM, write out prompt. So workflow, write out prompt, copy prompt, paste prompt in a new LLM thread, ask I'm designing prompt to do X. How can I improve this prompt for make it clearer, more concise, and easier to do. How would you evaluate this prompt for clarity, concision, and ease to do? No, actually, yeah. Incorporate your feedback. Copy that output. Use the go to old LM thread, paste prompt. Okay. If you're confusing what you must be confusing the model. Try not to use complex language and don't provide unnecessary. So try not to use complex language and don't provide unnecessary information. Be specific about the output. Instruct over constrain. Be explicit with desired output and teach the model how to do it, not tell it what it can't. Okay. Working with schemas. So using structured JSON as an output is a great solution. We've seen multiple times in Pipper. What about input? While JSON is excellent for structuring the output of the LLM it generates, it can be incredibly useful for structuring the input. This is where JSON schemas come into play. A JSON schema defines the expected structure and data types of your JSON input. By providing a schema, you give the LLM a clear blueprint for the data it should return and helps focus the attention on the relevant information and reducing the risk of misinterpreting the input. Furthermore, schemas can establish relationships between different pieces of data and even make the LLM time aware by including date and timestamp fields. Okay. Experiment, document various prompts. For COT prompting, putting the answer after the reasoning is required because the generation of the reasoning changes the tokens. Okay. Document varies. Document prompts. Document prompts. What does that say? Recommend creating a Google Sheet with table 21, with table 21 as a template. The advantage of this approach is already having a complete record. When you inevitably have to revisit your prompting work either to pick it up in the future, you'd be surprised how much you can forget after a long break, short break. Okay. So, let's go ChatGPT. Make me an obsidian template for documenting my prompts. Template. Be explicit and pedantic, but steps I'll need to take. Assume I have a brand new obsidian instance. No. Wow, this is slow comparatively. Interesting. templates, toggle it on, create a template folder. I already have that. Configure the template folder in settings. So let's go in here. Pretty sure I have a templates folder. Templates, let's add a new one. Prompt, template. Core plugins, templates. Create the prompt documentation template. Prompt documentation. Prompt documentation. Cool. Okay. How do I use this? Summary, zero shot prompting, raw prompt. Okay. Prompting techniques. Zero shot prompting. Okay. Okay. Obviously I didn't read through the entire thing, but feel pretty good about that step that we took. Interaction sampling controls, best practices. Okay. What okay. Do I end the stream or do I just take a break? I think I will end the stream there. A 90-minute stream, I think that's not bad. I think it seems relatively focused in terms of like, this is like my Monday brain dump. And then I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I am going to come back and just be more focused on the actual clay table. So yeah, let's put this in prompt documentation, clay prompt, thumbnail prompt, click. What was I doing that? Oh yeah. Let's, I guess. notebook LM. Open AI prompt engineering. Close it down. Open AI. Upload a source website. Does it not let me use theirs? That's hilarious. What does it say? Invalid URL. Sick. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna end the stream there, guys. I'll be back. I don't know, maybe an hour or two.